Welcome to Tailgate Talk. I am Ritter, along with former Major Leaguer Paul Wagner, a.k.a. Wags. Eric Tasker, get in studio. I know we keep talking about trying to, get some of our guide friends on and talk about fishing and talk about hunting and some other stuff. We can't get anybody on our show. Not that they don't want to join us. Everyone is so booked, solid, busy. It's a good thing. I'm happy that we can't have anyone on our show.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have. I know we've been kind of going back and forth with Ballards for a while, and Wags, you got a buddy up north that we just can't get any of them on.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice after coming back from the year that they had last year.
Yeah.
And, the reduction of availability and people being able to travel freely. It's good to see them busy. It's good to see him say that I can't get on the radio right now because I'm on the river. I have no reception there, but I have clients. So very, very exciting.
I want to check in. How was the deer stands that you ordered? Did they arrive? Everything good to go there, Wags?
They're phenomenal. They are absolutely phenomenal. Like I said, that company came in, they put them up. They are so nice. I'm glad I got them. I wish I would have done it a little bit earlier. And nothing against, Muddy or the other brands, the Banks, but I went with the Rednecks, and yeah, they're just awesome. They're just really nice. They're put together nice. They just seem like it's going to be a very exciting, gun season, especially being able to have my daughters in there, and that's the biggest thing. I love it. I'm very, very satisfied with it. They were on time, put it up very simply. They brought it in with tracks on their Bobcat with the extended forks. Didn't tear up the yard. As we've talked before, I have a graduation party this weekend, and my daughter was afraid that they were going to tear up the yard. She has bags tournaments set up and all this stuff, and they didn't. They took care of it really well, and in and out in about 2.5 hours to the Buck Palace, and they set them. Man, they're sweet. I want to go on. We were just talking last time about getting out there right now. I almost took a nap.
Hey, Tasker, does this look like a face of a man that slept in one already?
Yes.
Yeah, right?
I got my cooler up there already. I just watch.
He's got a little pillow.
He's too smiley. I feel like he slept in one of these. He knows how good it is. Just wanted to bring something up with you as well, Tasker. And it was something that happened this past week here. How was it meeting Riley Green?
God, I love that guy. I mean, everybody kind of made me feel a little embarrassed because I love him so much. But he's just such a good dude. He's one of those down south guys. I mean, he's an Alabama boy. I've followed so much of his stuff from his hunting success from last year, which we got to talk to him about on the bus. Shooting 6 different bucks in 5 different states. That's the life that he lives. He's all over the place. And when you can plan a tour to be able to hunt in different places at different times of the year, what a life, man. That was just so cool. And they were just, so down to earth, him and his best friend that we had met. And then Matt Duff from Major League Bowhunter. Just so cool just to be able to catch up with those guys and chat with them and just hear a little bit about their story. And hopefully one of these days we'll have them on.
We got to follow up with Duffy because he offered Chipper Jones. He offered up Chipper.
Duffy played for a little bit. He had a little bit of time in the big leagues.
Yeah.
He had a little bit. I'd like to see how he comes through on that Chipper. That's a pretty big commitment. Right, exactly.
He offered up. He's I played Chipper. I was like, can you? Well, you want to call him right now? Let's make this happen because I don't know that I believe you right now. Why don't you have another couple of beers? We'll see what happens.
It was pretty cool though, just to chat with those guys. And I mean, I love his music, but I just love who he is as a person. So that was well beyond anything that I had ever expected. And then, I gave him a hard time. I had just one of my fishing hats on, and I gave him a hard time. And I said, "Where's your Halo waterfowl hat?" And he's like, "Oh, I got more of them in the back." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm not surprised by that." He's like, "I got one for you. Hang on a second." I'm like, "All right, this is pretty legit." So that was so great. That's probably the highlight of the year so far. So that was pretty cool.
Until you shoot that big 8-10 pointer this fall.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, which that's coming up. We're going to be getting up there soon. So we just booked the campsites. So we're all good to go for the last weekend of the month here.
It was kind of fun. I always enjoy chatting with him about, the fishing stuff, as following the elites like I do, and Gerald Swindle, loving that guy and how funny he is. He, was good friends with him, talks with him and fishes with him and stuff, and to get some of the stories about, what it's like fishing with Swindle. And, he was alluding to some of the technology on the boats. And he was saying how, when they were out filming, if you're not familiar, when they announced the Bassmaster Classic this past year, they did a whole thing. It was last year during COVID. It was just like a camera crew out on a separate boat, but it was just Gerald Swindle and Riley Green on Gerald's boat, and they were fishing, and Riley played a song, and then they kind of announced where the Bassmaster Classic was going to be for this past year's Bassmaster Classic. And it kind of, how did they come about, and was talking a little about that, and he was saying how he went out fishing with Swindle, because everyone in Guntersville knows Gerald Swindle, and that boat. So when they see his boat, like, people just follow around, like, try and hit, like, all the spots. And he was saying, like, Swindle will roll up on a spot and be like, well, I want to fish here. Look at all the fish, and, like, showing him with, the live scope and all the technology. Or he's a Humminbird guy, so yeah, he's got the Mega. He'd be going like the Mega 360 until soon, which we're going to talk a little bit about some of the new stuff coming out of iCast this year, which happens actually next week in Orlando. But how he'd roll up and show him, like, look at all the fish right here, and they'd roll into another spot and start fishing there, knowing there's no fish there, just to throw people off to get them to come over there, and then slide back into the spots they want to get to.
People follow that boat and ping it.
Right.
People ping that spot. Oh, we'll go back there later.
Yeah, dropping pins wherever they go, and
that's a lot of guys will do that. When you're fishing in a tournament and stuff, there's other people on lakes and things like that. I'm not an elite guy, not the same thing, but I actually did the same thing last weekend on a lake that was a small lake. Something new I wanted to try out. I had texted with Tasker.
Yeah.
He had actually been on this lake. And I got out. I was like, it was one guy that put in just before me in his bass boat, and I got my kayak in behind him. And he went the same way that I wanted to go. But I'm like, oh, I'll let him fish that. So I kind of slid out a little bit deeper. Then I kind of slid back in where he was. I want to try some topwater stuff early. And I'm like, I'm going to give up on this. I'm going to go and hit this other shoreline in an area where I know that there's kind of some submerged weeds and stuff. So I worked my way over to that, kind of worked around him. Like, I was just, I'm just checking it out, and skirted around him. And I took a couple of casts along the way with one bait, and I'm like, okay, I think there's fish here, but I don't want to get on this now. So I, changed bait, and I just worked my way down the shore doing something else, and I missed like 2 other fish. And I slowly start working around. He works like then past me, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to save this. I'm going to wait till the sun comes up and it gets warm, and I'm coming back to this. So I go all the way to the other side of the lake, and there's a guy that's over there, and I see him go back to like where I was. I'm like, don't do it. And then he ends up coming back over at me as I start hooking a couple more fish on the far end. So as soon as everyone like kind of gathers and is spread out again, I skirt right back to the spot that I wanted to go and just put the wood to it. I had a blast. It was fun. I had a crowd for the first time. I was catching fish with a crowd. Yeah. There was a couple of kayakers that were like falling around and just like sitting and just watching me. And I was like, well, this is kind of interesting and strange. Like, I don't know what it's like to have spectators. I'm just like But yeah, I had a lot of fun fishing out there last weekend. And it's just that moment, I was like, I can relate. You find a spot, you're like, oh, this is going to hold it, but I don't want to like sit on top of it. It's not like ice fishing where you can just kind of park on your spot.
Right.
You got to be mobile. You got to, I'm going to hide this and sneak away and try and throw someone off. Luckily, it was not a very big lake, so it wasn't much for me to, go back and forth across it. It was a 3-minute paddle, across the other shoreline. So.
Oh, that's
I'm
good.
sure you do that. You're looking for spots all the time.
Is this one of these smaller lakes that you can't give it up, or where were you? Were you out by us, or were you out?
Yeah, I was actually I was like right in the corner, the far northwestern corner of Waukesha County. I was like almost Jefferson County, almost Washington County.
Okay.
We'll tell you afterwards.
I love
it's funny though, because we were actually sending messages back and forth, and he sent me a picture of one of the bass that he caught, and he said, hey, I'm out here. And I said, oh man, we actually just got off the lake too. And I thought I saw somebody that kind of looked like you. Kayaks all rigged up, pedal drive, all of that. Had all of the poles and everything that were coming up with GoPros and all of that stuff. I mean, he looked like he's been doing it for a while. And so we were going back and forth, and he's like, oh, I almost went to that
I did.
lake.
I almost went to the same lake.
So we would have been fishing
between the
at
two
the
lakes.
same lake at the same time. It just didn't happen to work out. But, yeah, so we got to coordinate that better.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, because I actually didn't plan on fishing last weekend. And my wife had texted me at one point Friday afternoon, and she's like, hey, are you fishing this weekend? I'm like, well, I wasn't planning it, but I mean, I'd like to, obviously. I mean,
I will go, yes.
Yeah, I'll always go anytime.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Because she wanted to coordinate. She's like, well, I want to do hot yoga and this and that. I was trying to figure out what day, whether you're going to fish tomorrow or Sunday or what. And I was like, well, tell me what day you want to do yoga and I'll fish. And she's like, well, look at this. She goes, why don't you fish tomorrow? So then I'm like, well, where do I go? What am I doing? Like, what do I want to do? Like, I knew I didn't want to go back to the places that I'd been previously. I'm like, I want to try something else.
Something different.
Yeah, I kind of want to reach around and go somewhere else. And so I literally spent, I think, 3 hours Friday night on the couch, like scrolling through and like checking maps and looking at stuff, because I wanted to get on a lake that had the potential for pike and bass. Because I obviously want to do some bass fishing, but I don't mind hooking into the pike here and there, and
Yep.
I get an over 26. I wouldn't mind throwing a little pike in the fryer while I'm at it. So why not? So that's what I was looking for, and to try and find one that wasn't going to have a lot of boat traffic, being that it was going to be a Saturday morning out there. So I'm going mapping and look at it. Then when you narrow it down to certain lakes, then I'm narrowing down to what do I think are the most productive areas, and that's how I spent my Friday night. Am I the weird one? Am I the only one that's a joyous night?
Well, you've got so many apps though too. I mean, I know you've got a couple different ones that you use, and I don't know. I'm like so bad about that. I just go out and I'm like, well, I know I've caught fish over there before, so I'm just going to go back to that spot, which I did, but I only caught one. I caught one largemouth, but that was it. So,
I'm a big believer in the Navionics app. It is amazing. Anyone that has the OnX map and is familiar with OnX of finding, hunting properties and public and private boundaries and things like that, I have OnX for that. But OnX to me also helps work and find water access for me, which is kind of cool with having a kayak. If you can get anywhere public that has a shoreline, you can get a kayak in.
Pretty much.
Without launch fees, a lot of you know what I mean? So there's things like that where OnX is nice. But then Navionics I use a lot to find different underwater structures and things like that. And obviously use your eyes when you're on a lake. Because this year on my kayak, I don't have electronics. I'm not running any kind of fish finder, so I don't have any kind of imaging, downs, none of that. I'm just strictly using maps and using kind of memory, so to speak. So I'm studying maps, finding productive areas, trying to set myself up on structures there. But also using it. What was I going to say? I had somewhere I was going with that. And I completely got lost on things. No fish finder, using Navionics app.
You say something about structures. Maybe you'll go into this. I've seen, and I don't know how the DNR reacts this, and if you can, are you allowed to create your own structure? So I've seen these things, but can it be a natural structure? Could you set?
You can sink pine trees. I mean, I
That's
guess
what I'm saying.
people do it.
Can I put
the legality is on it, but
can I put my 5 Christmas trees together with a cinder block and make sure it sets right here when the ice thaws and it falls?
And that's people do that on Lake Winnebago a lot. Winnebago system's a lot of that.
I swear that's why I say that, because I swear I thought that's what they were doing, and obviously when you're on Bago and we were there. So obviously you see all your sheds, your shacks, your sturgeon spearing shacks. They're all on the side. All of a sudden I saw a bunch of trees together.
There's fishing clubs,
and
the Otter Street Fishing Club and stuff. They'll do that, yeah.
And they were wrapped with chain.
Yep.
And a couple, 3 cinder blocks.
Yep, they're building artificial reefs. They've also done through the ice like that, dumping gravel. They'll dump a pile of gravel. So when the ice goes out, gravel goes down, and you're kind of creating that underwater artificial gravel reef.
Yeah.
They do that a lot in Lake Winnebago system. When I was talking about structure, I'm like looking at a map, I'm trying to find, I'll show you here. I know for radio it doesn't make sense to see, but you can kind of see the contour lines. I can see where it goes from shallow water to deep water, and sometimes in that deep or another transition, there might be like a little shelf. Kind of look at that like a dinner table. If you've got some shallow water that slopes down, there's a little flat area, and then really deep water right next to that flat area. That's where they're going to come up and feed up on top of that pan, that dinner plate, that little saddle that's in there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you're really good about that. We should talk about that at some point today. Just some of your insight on the different apps that you've used and some of the things that you kind of look for.
Yeah, I absolutely can get to that. Also want to get to some of the new baits coming out at iCast, which is going on in Orlando next week. It's the big fishing outdoor show where all the manufacturers release their latest and greatest and next big products that they're coming out with. And that covers, everything from fishing tackle to accessories to boats to, kayaks, navigate, just everything to do with being in and on the water and water sports is a big part of iCast. So there's a couple of them that I am super excited about it. One that I don't want to be as excited about it as I am. I think it is going to be the most popular bait of the year. And I think it's probably going to win iCast Best of Show. I'm Shaun Ritter, the former Major League Paul Wagner with us. Eric Tasker, you can find us on socials @On the Tailgate. We got talking about fishing, and I'll get to some of the apps and how I use some of the stuff coming up here in just a bit. But I wanted to touch on iCast next week in Orlando. Some of the big new baits that a lot of the companies are releasing. This is the premiere in outdoor shows, which I have bucket list goal to go to iCast. Now, I would say iCast 2022, but my 2022 is pretty busy with a lot of stuff, so I'm going to try and not add an extra expense to things. But it is a bucket list someday to get out to iCast to see some of this. Last year, that was where a lot of the big baits had come out and released Berkeley. That's when they first released their Max Scent stuff. Was a huge part of one of those big iCast launches, and they're back with some big launches again this year, including Gulp. I think we're all familiar with their Gulp worms. They're launching an 8-inch saltwater grub of Gulp. This thing is the size of your hand.
Wow.
And it's going to have all the same technologies and all. And I'm just like, while it doesn't matter for us here necessarily, I don't know. I could see it being something jigged for Lakers or something. But I think, in the saltwater world, that's a great add to things. But one of the ones that they are adding in here is using the Gulp technology, but in a freshwater paddle shad. So it's going to be a small paddle tail type bait. I'm a huge fan of paddle tail swim baits, and not even using the paddle tails as just a swim bait itself, but as trailers on both my chatterbaits and my spinner baits.
Spinners.
I'm huge on not doing curly. I'm huge on just using paddle tails. I think there's a vibration that they give off that is awesome. Swim jig is always going to be a paddle tail for me. But I think even when you add the vibration of a blade bait and then you add that vibrating tail, it just throws so much water. I like to throw that myself.
Yeah. Well, so you are like a diehard swim jig guy, so you are always rigged with something trailing off.
Yes. My swim jig is always going to have a paddle tail. I mean, I'll say Reaction Innovations, their Little Dipper and Skinny Dipper. I'm a huge fan of that as a trailer. Okay. There's some other ones I'm thinking about trying and getting into. I mean, I've got some in my arsenal that I've used when they don't have what have I got? Cabela's brand. They've got it was a chartreuse paddle tail. I'm not a huge fan of it, but they didn't have the colors that I wanted in the Reaction Innovation ones. So I tried this Cabela's one when I was up in Canada the last time. They worked. I don't think it has the same vibration that I want. So, I mean, I still have it. I'm kind of blowing through them at this point. For some reason, they're like bigger, and when I'm trying to use a trailer, I'm basically tearing them in half anyway.
Sure.
So it's like I'm throwing away half a bait, but...
Yeah.
Berkeley jumping into the jerkbait game. This is the new one they're dropping here. The Stunna is a new jerkbait that they're coming out with here. It's going to be a big one. In fact, it was actually one of the baits that Hank Cherry used in the Bassmaster Classic, who went back-to-back Bassmaster Classic. The Stunna is the kind of the bait that he gives a lot of the credit to, both flipping a jig and then throwing this new Berkeley jerkbait. Wouldn't it be nice to be one of these Bass Pro guys that gets these baits ahead of time and gets to use them for a year
imagine? Before
they even hit iCast?
So many of them. So I went to the site right now, and there's a gentleman named Gary Benny, and I'm watching him, and it must be like, for you, it must be like a kid in a candy store. I mean, you could try every single thing, every single color, every single variation of length, depth, width, weight, drop, sink, countersink. I mean, you could go nuts. My goodness gracious.
Could you imagine the tackle box that they have, which is probably an entire garage?
Oh, I mean, have you guys been to when Clam had it here and they did it at the State Fair Park, the ice fishing show? They do it in Minneapolis every year. In Minneapolis, St. Paul, their big ice fishing show. They had it here for like 2 years. I mean, it's a Clam event. Clam basically throws up their whole booth. They've got every color, every variation of every bait that Clam Tackle makes for ice that you can see, and then they have like demo stuff with it, but you can literally see every bait that they make. And that's what iCast is. It gives you a chance to see all of the new products that are coming out. Last year, the biggest, most talked about bait was from Berkeley. It was their Max Scent, and it was the Max Scent Flatworm. That thing, as a drop shot, dominated so many smallmouth bass tournaments. It really, Sturgeon Bay, it was when the MLF guys fished up in Sturgeon Bay. When they started fishing with it, it was almost unfair advantage. Guys that used the Berkeley Max Scent Flatworm versus people that used any other worm, they were outfit. It was just absolutely insane, to the point where last year, they were gone. You could not find the Berkeley Max Scent flatworms in any color in any tackle store in the state of Wisconsin.
Wow.
You could find the regular smaller worm, but you could not find that flatworm.
Wow.
This year, they're dropping the Max Scent technology in a tube jig. That's the new one. Now they're dropping a tube.
You'll grab them.
Right, which again, now the smallmouth guy.
You just laugh it off.
What I will say, and I'm going to give Berkeley credit because I've got some of the Max Scent stuff, is the texture, which is, it seems weird, but texture does matter, I think, in baits. Anyone that is big into bass fishing, fishes a lot, they know what I'm talking about. Like, different baits have different textures. For some reason, fish, I think, feel that, and there's different scents that the way the scent is distributed from the textures, in just the baits themselves. That's why baits are scented, or salt, or whatever they've done to things. Is it distributes some scent in the water, attracts them, and even just the feel in their mouth. It feels different. To feel what the baits feel like, the Maxent, it's soft. I want to say softer, foamy, almost like spongier. It's not like you'd think of like a regular squishy, like plasticky plastic worm. It has a different feel to it.
And it probably, the texture of the feel, it probably affects the movement as well. I always, when you
go to my truck, I think I've actually got a pack of Maxent worms still
when you're
in my vehicle.
saying that about texture, one of the funniest things, I never knew this, is with a golf ball. I'm going to use this comparison. Like 492 dimples on a golf ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we were actually golfing with a guy from Titleist a couple years back, and he brought a golf ball with no dimples. He goes, hit this ball as far as you can. Same golf ball, no dimples. No dimples. You can't hit a dimpleless golf ball more than 50 feet. Then you put in another dimple.
That's so weird.
It is. It was crazy. I could not comprehend it. So little jigs, little jags on golf balls, obviously with dimples, but now you're talking about a bait. The texture, there's buff, it's a rough, it's a sandy texture, or it's got to affect something. Yeah, when they bite at it and they feel it, then they really go.
I was just gonna say, better thing is, you ever put something in your mouth that doesn't feel quite right?
Right, spit it out. Right,
spit it out.
Yeah,
and that's
what they do.
Where the difference is, it's gonna be a 2.5 and a 3-inch version of it. Some of the colors, I will definitely be getting the green goby, the white pearl, and the black blue fleck. All sound good. They've got 10 different colors that are gonna come out with that, but I think that's gonna be a very, very popular bait. That's not, however, what I think will be the best in show at iCast. I still got that. I'll tell you what that is coming up here. But we're going to do a fishing rod, not for adults. That's, I think, pretty cool. Something that one of the tech companies is coming out with, going to launch at iCast this year. We'll get to that On the Tailgate. You want to find us on socials. I am Ritter, a.k.a. Shaun Ritter, whatever you want to call me. Man, Eric Tasker with us, and the former Major Leaguer, Paul Wagner. Wags, as we're kind of talking about iCast coming up next week and some of the new things that are dropping in the fishing world. I mentioned a rod that's coming out this year. Shakespeare is dropping a new rod that I think is awesome, and it's not for adults. This is the Shakespeare Easy Grow, gear that they won't outgrow. It's a rod meant for kids. So age 4 to 5, it's like a 2-foot 10-inch rod, and then you can extend it out. Make it a 3-foot 8-inch rod and extend it out farther to a 4. So as the kid grows older and grows taller, the rod can grow with them. When you think about being a kid, you've got either the small Mickey Mouse pole or you've got like a full-size whatever rod, and sometimes being like a small kid, the rod's like almost way too big for you to handle. It's too much rod. I love this for kids, or tell me this wouldn't make an awesome ice fishing pole.
Well, there you go.
Because if you're anyone that walks and moves around like mobily, sometimes if you're standing, you have that shorter little 32 to 36 inch jig pole. That's a little short. But if you tell me that I can get, a 3.5 foot, 4 foot rod, and I can stand and be, see, I'm a thinking guy. See, it's a thinking guy here. I think it's great for kids though. It's really cool. But there is that. I right away saw it. I'm like, ooh, that's a great idea for even ice fishing.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to come with a closed bail reel, but who's to say you can't pull that closed bail reel off and put one of your old bait cast reels on?
Yeah.
Boom, you got a perfect rod for that. Storage-wise, Z-Man's dropping a pretty cool bait blocks, they're calling it, which is just a soft plastics locker. I've got like a hard thing that I use in my kayak that I put some soft plastics in. It's just a great way to organize it. But what's really cool about this is the lid, when it flips open, actually is like little clear compartments where you can stick jigs, hooks, things like that. And so you can have all of your terminal stuff in the top, like underside of it, and the bottom have just your bags of plastics. And again, it's on a full soft side, so it's not like a hard, heavy type carry case. It's just like a little soft side. Basically like a soft side cooler.
That's nice.
Kind of cool. Oh, I'm trying to remember through here if there was another one that stood out to me that was coming out. Obviously can roll out what I think is going to be one of the biggest pieces of technology. They've already released the info on it, but it's Humminbird finally jumping into the real imaging world. Lowrance has had their live scope for a while. Everyone talks about Garmin and their stuff they have, but they've had the Mega 360 imaging with Humminbird, which was, basically would give you like a radar image, the slow roll all the way around, 360 degrees around your boat, which, if you're someone, I'll keep using the example of the Great Lakes smallmouth fishing. When you can roll up, in deeper water and sit there and just have that 360, you can see right and cast right at those fish right where they're sitting.
Yeah.
Now this is going to change the game. Instead of just having that slow to wait, this is true real time with their Mega 360 or their Mega imaging, that you'll be able to, point your transducer in a certain direction and literally see the fish moving and see them swimming. It's become like playing a freaking video game.
That is so crazy.
I actually just saw the other day Eric Hadia, and familiar, the kind of the big brown trout guy, the big guide here in Milwaukee area. He was out with some clients on Lake Michigan, and he likes to do a lot of vertical jigging with his clients. Of course, he's got a line of jigs that he dropped, the hot jigs or whatever he calls them. And so I'm sure he's out there using electronics, and he's got one of the Garmin Live Scope. Yeah, that's what he uses on his boat. He posted a picture of this giant mirror carp that he literally goes, I saw it on the imaging and was able to get down and, drop to it, and it took this jig. I mean, the carp is monstrous. And I know Eric's a guy that's really good at making fish look bigger than they are. But, I mean, I know this was a monstrous carp. Yeah. And examples of that, it's become a video game to catch these fish. It's just absolutely insane to me. So with, Humminbird getting on board with that Mega, what I'm most excited about is I've been trying to figure out, and I'm still like, what do I want to do for my kayak? Next year, I definitely plan to put electronics on. I'm going to do it this winter. But what do? I was like, that Mega 360, I'd love to. It's expensive. But I'm like, now that they dropped the new stuff, does that mean that the older technology might come down just a little bit for me?
Usually,
right?
But not always, but yeah.
And I know Lowrance, they just discontinued all of their head units that, so I don't know if you were at Cabela's at all and seen, they were like having a major clearance blowout of a lot of their 7, 9, and up to 12-inch, units. So I think they're coming out with a new design, a new layout for their stuff that then connects to their live scope imaging. So I'm like, cross the fingers, but we'll figure out what to do there. The bait that I think is going to win Best of Show, it's something that Berkeley worked directly with Mike Iaconelli on. And I don't want to like it because, again, it's one of those, like, a superstar angler worked with it. And it's called the Gilly. This thing literally looks like a small bluegill. It's got kind of like a weird ripply from like the midsection down to the tail. It's like weird kind of ripply, almost like bubbly type tech. But it's so you can rig it so many ways. You can rig it on a bare hook and you can swim it. It'll swim and the tail will like kick like a swim bait would. Oh. Or you could rig it sideways and kind of use it almost like a frog or like a dying bluegill. I think it was Live Target came out with a bluegill type frog bait a couple of years ago that debuted at iCast. That was a big one. This is going to be, to me, the most versatile bait. And if you're someone that fishes largemouth, they love eating bluegills. I will also tell you what likes eating bluegills: pike. There ain't nothing in Wisconsin that doesn't like eating bluegills.
Yeah.
And by the way, we're lucky to be a state that you can catch a bluegill and then take that same bluegill and use it as bait.
Yep.
I've known a ton of guys that do that through the ice, and that's how they catch some of the biggest pike. Catch a small bluegill, put that on your tip-ups, not shiners, put a bluegill on your tip-up. That's how you catch a big pike through the ice in Wisconsin. But this new bait, the Gilly, they come 2 per package. I didn't even see what the price is yet on it, but I'm like, take my money. I am all for this. I think it's great. You can put it on a jig. You could Texas rig it. You can Carolina rig it. It's so versatile, and I think it's going to be the bait that everyone's going to talk about. Tackle Warehouse, I think, has already taken pre-orders on it. It's one of the places that I found that does it. But yeah, Berkeley Gilly, that to me is going to be the bait that wins Best of Show at iCast. And I'm done with my excitement of iCast.
but I did see the dates as I pulled it up. I did see the dates. They've already got it dated out for 2022 and 2023. So obviously in the same place. It looks like it's all Orlando. It's going to be there again.
Yep.
So
yeah, they used to rotate.
They're a huge expo center there that hosts so many different things. They
used to do Orlando one year, and then they go to Vegas, and then back to Orlando. They used to flip-flop back and forth every year, Orlando and Vegas. But I think Orlando's just a better place to settle it. Yeah. You've got all the water around there, and who doesn't want to go to Florida? In Orlando, or especially Orlando, where you can be like, oh, you get into Orlando, the family can do Disney, you can take one day to do iCast. Like it makes sense to me.
Yeah, when I was in construction, we would always have shows that flip-flop back and forth. Vegas is Vegas, but I feel like that was the nice thing about Orlando is that it was just so versatile that you could really kind of do everything. If you wanted to go out and get crazy, you could do that, but that just seems to make more sense with all the water there.
Mm-hmm.
That
right.
They could tie all of that together that way,
boats
as opposed
and motors. And again, that's what iCast saw. All this stuff is there and available for people to test and try out.
Yeah, Nari, the home builders,
right.
NBA. It was always on in Vegas. So okay, we're going to go out to Vegas and bring 10 guys, and we're going to just go do our Vegas thing. So this gives more opportunity for everybody to enjoy and test more things. Like you said, you can do so much, and everybody does love Florida.
Yeah. I know you love Florida.
I love it. I wish I would have been a good baseball player because I'd live in Florida. Well, I say I would live in Florida.
But you'd have a place up here for sure.
I would have to. Yes, I would have to.
You'd need your Wisconsin whitetail. So,
anything interesting coming up for you guys? Anything fun you got working on that is going to happen here in the next couple of weeks? I can't believe we're already halfway through freaking summer.
I know, it's crazy. We're going camping. I think the next 2 weekends. Not this weekend, but the following 2 weekends after that. I was thinking as we were talking about everything, it's like, man, summer's here right now, and I got the itch for deer season already. But it's like just experience what we have and enjoy the weather. And I've actually gotten out and fished quite a bit here the last couple of weeks. So, I mean, we're definitely going to take our kayaks and hit the water, and we're going to be in the middle part of the state. So it'll be nice just to get out. And so we've got that coming up. And then the last weekend of the month, we're doing trail camp. So a couple of busy weekends here coming up. So
it's flying up.
What about you, Wags?
Yeah, that's, I got so much going on now with my daughter. So she leaves for college and graduation parties. We used to have it. I don't know about you guys, but when we had graduation parties, it was almost the weekend after we graduated from school.
Yeah.
Now she pushes it back till, this weekend. And I'm like, I didn't really get the concept, but I guess nobody wants to back up with everybody else. Everybody can come see it. But, then all of a sudden it's move-in date. I got to go down there. She's got to fill out some things, and then we got to come back. So we're going down there Monday. Then I got to move her in on the 12th, and they start class on the 16th. Wow. So my fishing and preparing, the rednecks did go up like we talked about. That's great. But as far as doing anything else, I'm going to, if I can get my girls to get on the boat, even if it's for a couple hours, just for sun, tubing, whatever they want to do, go get lunch on the river or on the water. I just got to be on the water, whether I'm fishing or not, or whether I'm doing anything like that. I just love being on the water. It's just something about it. It's
all part of
relaxing. And I know I only have about 4 or 5 weeks left with them, so that's why I got to take advantage of it.
All right. Talk about getting ready for deer season, things coming. The ultimate way for me, I think, to get ready for deer season is to get out and shoot, especially if you're a bow hunter, shoot your bow. Perfect opportunity for it, and get yourself tuned up and start practicing. The friends over at Buck Rub Archery and my normal show that I do in country radio and been involved with St. Jude Children's Research Hospital for many, many years. We've got a shoot with Buck Rub Archery and Does with Bows. The organization kind of really runs and puts this on, and Michelle, who runs Does with Bows, is so fantastic in helping to raise money for St. Jude and kids with childhood cancer. It's going to be at Buck Rub Archery August 7th and 8th from 10 to 3. It's $14, cash only. That's for the shoot of the 3D course outside, which I think that's my favorite 3D course. I love it as a 3D course. It's so cool. The different stations and towers and the way it's set up out there. It's so much fun. I mean, you can bring the whole family. The bar is going to be open. They've got tons of auction items and stuff like that. But yeah, the $14, that goes straight to it. Like all of that goes, there's no like $3 of it goes, all of it's going right to St. Jude. That full $14, you get to go shoot the 3D course. So I urge you, if you got a chance at all, I mean, you can run through in an hour and a half, really the latest, to get out there, but just take some time and come out and join us either August 7th or 8th for the St. Jude shoot with, Does with Bows and Buck Rub Archery out in Pewaukee, or I guess technically would that be Delafield? What is it? They say Pewaukee, but it's like right there on that line.
Pewaukee there.
Yeah, Buck Rub Archery, look them up if you want to find where it's at. It's on Silvernail Road. Go out, shoot your bow. I know, in fact, Tasker and I will be shooting. Are you shooting with us, Wags?
Today? No, I'm not.
No, when we shoot the
yes, I'm going to go.
St. Jude shoot.
I'm going to stop up there. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. Sounds like fun.
That'd be a good time, man. That was fun last year. It was hot, though, last year.
It was hot last year.
I was very hungover, and I was very hot last year.
Tasker was very hungover, and he still kicked my tail.
I was not doing good.
You just shoot at the middle one. If you see three, you shoot at the middle target.
Oh, I just remember that. I was not prepared for that day, but
it was
a good time, though.
It was a little sweaty. I do remember that very much so. Yeah. So. Well, thanks for joining us. Always glad to hang out. Hopefully one of these days, we'll find a guide on a day where he doesn't have clients, or, that'll probably be January. Get them, because I really want to talk about some of that river muskie fishing with, the guys at Flater's Resort, and because that's just such a different kind of cool thing that I think is of interest. I want to get Gary of Ballard's back on to find out what's happening, what the plans are for Canada as they've reopened their residents back and forth. When we're going to be able to get up there. I know that the questions are Alaska's. You got to go through Canada to get to Alaska. So people this summer or whatever, can you drive to Alaska? I don't think we can even do that anymore.
I don't think you can. You have to fly.
Like, it's just, so Canada,
yeah,
open it up. We want to come give you our
together,
money.
Trudeau.
We want to come give you our money. I will show you my vaccine card. Just let me come give you my money and catch your fish. All right?
Catch your fish.
Well, the Deer District didn't really seem to be too concerned.
No, they weren't. They haven't been for a while now.
They weren't too concerned about any variants, whether it was a moose variant, a Delta variant, or a buck variant. They were there cheering on the Milwaukee Bucks, and it's tied up 2-2. So, again, being on the sports side of it, it's exciting for Milwaukee, obviously with our Outdoorsman, but the Milwaukee Bucks now tied up the series 2-2, and absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, the final Bassmaster Elite going on right now. That's it. Wrapped up. The final tournament of the year. I don't know what I'm going to do. Not gonna have any. I'm gonna have to watch.
There's always replays.
To watch the MLF guys. I don't know what's that. That's gonna be interesting though. But while we wrap up here, there's gonna be some changes coming to both the elites and the Major League Fishing about the number of guys on tour. This is gonna become much more competitive, and there might be a situation next year where there's some big named anglers that won't be on a major tour anymore because they won't have qualified. It's going to get crazy as this year wraps up and get into next year of where these two leagues are and the shakeup of how this happened. It's going to become like European soccer. You're going to get relegation stuff happening here.
Wow! And then that's going to affect sponsorships. And I mean, you're right. That could be quite crazy. Crazy.
Maybe we'll snake some of them sponsorships.
Yeah, open for any sponsorship.
That's your job.
That's my job.
Hit me up. Eric Tasker at iHeartMedia.com. Until next time, have a safe, successful week. We'll catch you back here on Tailgate Talk.